So the format for this evening, I guess with such a small crowd, we can keep it fairly informal, which will be really nice. And so as we go along, if our guests have questions, I think you can just sort of pipe in and ask them as you go. But the purpose is really to provide an opportunity for prospective families to hear some voices of a current parent, which is Leslie, and of a recent graduate, which is Raphael. And so I have some specific questions that I'm going to be asking them. And certainly we'll open it up to our guests as well as we go along, and invite you to ask questions. And we can keep this fairly informal because we're not a huge crowd, so we can keep it as quite a dialogue here rather than as a formal presentation. So maybe we'll kind of start, Leslie, if I can begin with you as a parent of students at the school, and ask some questions that'll allow you to speak to your experience a little bit. Sorry, I just realized I didn't actually introduce Derek, the other person that's on the screen here. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Derek Rodenheiser. I'm the director of academics. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a little chat tonight.
There you go. It's kind of important. Sorry about that. So Leslie, maybe if you could just start by explaining what led you to choose Westboro Academy for your family back in the day. You guys have been with us for a while, but what were your factors for considering your school choice at the beginning, and what ultimately led to you choosing Westboro Academy?
Sure. Well, we came from Montreal, so we were looking for a bilingual school. And we thought they would be all over Ottawa, a true bilingual school, but we actually had a hard time. So that's initially what led us to Westboro. And then we were just taken with the small community atmosphere and the positive vibes that we got from the school. So yeah, that's probably what led us in the first place. And then I guess I'll wait till you ask me how we find things now.
Well, I was going to say, so what, given the factors that you were using in your decision making, was the school experience that you've had different from what you were expecting when you first joined on, or how was it the same or different?
It was different because it was better than what we were hoping for and expecting. My kids have just had such a great experience at the school. The one concern we did have when we were signing up was we didn't know if the school would be too small and that they would be lacking in some of the social activities. But it turned out to be the opposite. My kids have become close friends with everyone in their class, and for kids who have graduated and moved on, they still keep in touch, which is really wonderful. The teachers are, of course, outstanding, and I can say that now after having gone through COVID and with the online classes, we heard the teachers coming through in our homes, and I always knew the kids had a positive experience, but I was just blown away with how the teachers were interacting with the kids, what they were teaching them, the resources they were using. So I just couldn't have been more impressed, and it shows with the kids and how much they love the school and their teachers.
And what do you think, how would you describe the values of the school and the values of the families in the school community?
I think everyone is really down to earth and places a high value on education. Every family there is really devoted to their kids and to their education. So there's a lot of involvement from the parents. I said the kids really get along and look forward to being together. It's the parents as well. It's just such a welcoming and positive environment.
Okay, excellent. If the school were to be represented as a single person, what would the personality be of that person in a few words? How would you describe that? The personality of the school.
That's a tough one. I think it's a very kind and respectful school. So that would be something that I would use to describe. Again, very positive. You can tell right away when you walk into the schoolyard, or in the olden days in the school before COVID, everyone was just so positive, and it was warm and welcoming. And, you know, we advertise it as being a community atmosphere, but it really is. Everyone is just so lovely. So positive, respectful, and maybe confident. The kids come out of there very confident, ambitious. You know, it's a lot of learning, given that we follow both the Quebec and Ontario curriculum. So I would say that's ambitious, but attainable.
Excellent. Thanks, Leslie. I'm going to bounce over to Raphael for a little bit. I may come back to you, Leslie. So Raphael, what did you appreciate most about Westboro Academy when you were a student there? And how has that perspective changed over time now that you've been away for a couple of years, or a year and a bit?
To start, my favorite thing about Westboro was probably the community. How it was small, but at the same time, I knew everyone and I knew how everyone felt, and the teachers were very open. So if I had problems, I could talk to them. And I had really good friends. Everyone in my class, I knew everyone, and there was no one I disliked. I was friends with everyone. And also I really liked the opportunities I had, like the leadership opportunities, or even the values I learned. So the teachers taught me a lot of values while I was at the school. A couple being like independence, where when the teacher wasn't available, we had to be independent to try to figure it out on our own. And that helped a lot.
Okay, has some of that perspective of your experience changed or solidified or anything since you left? Has that opinion altered in any way?
Yeah, well, for sure. Now that I go to public school, that's way bigger. I really appreciate the classes and the teachers. They're way better. And for sure, the help I got was a lot better. But they really got me ready for high school. So now in high school, obviously, teachers aren't as good, but I'm more independent and I'm able to do stuff on my own now, which is really good.
Excellent. So you come from a francophone family, but
Yes.
Can you comment a little bit on how the bilingual program worked for you in your case?
Well, yeah, so I got to school in SK, and when I got there, I barely knew any English. And everyone in my class was English, so I had to learn English mostly. And at the beginning it was kind of hard, but the teachers helped me a lot, and I integrated with all the friends, with all the people there, and I learned English, and now I'm pretty good at English, I believe. And so how it worked is half the day was English and the other half was French. And we had English class and French class. And then we also had history was in French, but science was in English, so it was split. Everything was half-half, so it's truly bilingual. And that helped me a lot because now I still know how to speak French, but I can also speak English. And it elevated my English a lot, and especially my French too.
So now that you're in high school and you're connected with people that have come from all sorts of different kindergarten to grade 8 experiences, and you've no doubt heard from them about what school was like for them. How do you feel like maybe your school experience was different from what other people more typically have had? What makes Westboro different, do you think?
Especially most of my friends didn't really like their school, which, I mean, I don't get it really because I love my school. It helped me a lot and it developed me as a person and made me who I am. And Well, mostly if I think about it, this is a hard one. Well, yeah, but honestly, there's nothing I regret about Westboro. So I really liked everything there, and it helped me a lot.
Okay. Um, so how did you select what you were going to do in high school after you were graduating in grade 8? What considerations did you have?
Well, in grade 8, we had a high school prep class where it got us ready for high school. So I already knew like what I was interested in, the classes, and I was already prepared. So when I joined the first day of high school, I was open to see new people. I was ready for all the new stuff. And well, yeah.
Did you feel like you had choices going into high school?
What do you mean by that?
Like that you had, like, did you feel like you would have been prepared to either continue in French or in English or, you know, different types of programs that are offered around the city?
Well, yeah, I felt like I could pretty much go to any high school. So I went to a French high school, and there's a bit of English there, but it's not as good as at Westboro Academy. And the French is probably worse than Westboro Academy, which is surprising because it's a French school. And yeah.
Okay. Well, no, I just wanted to see if you felt like you could have gone either French or English, that you would have been equally prepared for either one. Okay. If you had an opportunity to speak to a new student that was about to join the school, what advice would you have for them?
To be honest, I would tell them to not be scared, to try to just be open, because the teachers are very nice. So there's no point being scared or shy, and to try to make friends, because for sure the friends that he's gonna make, he's probably gonna keep for a long time. Like I still talk to my friends every day, so
That's pretty fun.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to manage a bunch of different little things going on here on my screen all at the same time. So maybe Leslie, I'll bounce back to you for a second. What do you think is sort of the biggest impact that the school has had for you and your family?
That one's easy. The kids have a love of learning, and I think that is all attributed to the school, to the teachers. They've just had such a wonderful experience that they love learning.
Okay, that's a pretty big one. We've got
They're
a pretty,
also very, very happy. You know, it's nothing better than having a kid come home at the end of the day and having the two kids competing in the car because they both want to share the exciting things that happened that day and their stories. And my daughter, I think this is the best compliment. She keeps talking about how she wants to be a teacher when she grows up, because she wants to be just like her grade 1 and grade 2 teacher.
that's pretty great. That's fun. Anyway, I feel like we're doing all the talking, but we have 3 other guests here too. So Wes and Chao and Daphne, if you guys, and Chico, if you guys have some questions, I'm gonna sort of open it up a little bit. I know, Mr. R, you may have a couple of things that you wanted to say as well, but we can sort of, this is a small group, so we can do this fairly informally, I think. But again, we've got a student representative here, a parent representative, we've got somebody from the admissions department, and we've got Mr. Rodnizer or Derek, who's our director of academics, who can answer academic questions. And of course, I'm the head of school, and I can answer some things as well. But I'm happy to just open it up a little bit if people would like to ask questions.
Hold on. Okay, I would like to find out, maybe, I don't know, maybe ask Derek, because I discovered the school is up to grade 8, and my daughter would be getting into grade 5, so that means she would have just about 3 years in the school. So I wanted to find out how easy or difficult it is to, find another school, because I thought maybe getting a school, that goes all the way to grade 12 would be easier. So is it easy to get into another school, to blend into another school from, after leaving from grade 8?
Sure. Happy to answer that, and maybe Raph wants to jump on there too, since she just did it after I answer it. But sort of from where I stand, it's a natural transition point. So it is something that happens right across the board and right across the city. So our a lot of schools transition after grade 8 and going into grade 9. And something that we're used to doing as a school, getting children ready, like Raph answered, where we have the high school prep course, and the whole process is building up to that, building that the ability to be independent and figure things out on your own, so that you can sort of thrive in any situation. And the strength of having that really solid elementary school program is just that. So when you do end up in sort of the bigger pond and bigger high schools, you have the opportunity to sort of fend for yourself in a really successful way, because you've had that solid base first. So in short, I think all of our students do that. They all transition to another school. I've seen great success at it, and it's a pretty natural transition point. I'm sure there are some parents, I suspect Leslie would love it if we went to grade 12. But we don't. So yeah, there are lots of options. As both guests were mentioning before, there are many different options in the city that our school also opens up for people, right? Because of the bilingualism, there's different programs to go into, specialized programs around the city, and other independent schools as well. So lots of different options, and something we're pretty comfortable with doing and used to doing. Does that kind of answer it?
Okay. All right, thank you.
I don't know, Raph, do you have anything to add to that maybe? She was just asking about the transition between grade 8 and grade 9, I think.
Well, yeah. So
Yeah, through different schools.
Right.
Yeah. So for me to find the school, I was looking for special programs where they would be a bit more advanced, and I felt ready for that. And there was a couple of schools where I took the test and I made it to the test, so then I could decide which school I wanted to go. And I felt quite ready once I did the test and I was accepted into the program. And I know some of the students didn't do any tests for special programs, and they also went to multiple good schools and they were happy. So I'm pretty sure most of my friends were happy with their schools.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, Daphne, please jump in.
Yeah, with the academic program, you said that it's Ontario and Quebec-based curriculum. So is that the standard curriculum for like all public schools, or is it?
So yes and no. So for the English half of the day, we follow the Ontario English First Language curriculum. In the French half of the day, for French language, we follow the Quebec Langue Maternelle, or French First Language program for Quebec. So we teach both languages as first languages, which means it's quite different from French immersion, and certainly very different from just a core French program, or a full French program in that sense. So they learn both languages as first languages. Does that sort of address the question?
Yeah, a bit, but also about just sort of the class material, like on science. Is it just sort of like based on the Ontario Public Science Program?
So like generally speaking, yes, it is based off of the Ontario program for science, for everything except for French. It's based off the Ontario program, but we use the curriculum expectations in Ontario as a baseline. So, I mean, I can't think of a case where in the classroom they're using, only that curriculum. So it's sort of enriched from that point. Derek has things to say. Excellent. Jump in there.
More things to say. One word to think about is the word curriculum. What it means to Meg and I might be different than what it means to everybody else. So when she's referencing that, it's like the guiding document. It's the provincial standard document that you're mandated to do. And so we take two of these documents, two of the higher quality documents, right? So the one that does the English language as their natural thing, and one as a French language as their home language. And then we augment them. So, our day-to-day wouldn't be what we consider curriculum. So on that base science curriculum, those are the standards, but there's more than that happening. We have a real strong staff and great PD program, making sure that everybody is aware of, all the new things that are happening, and make sure that we're supporting all of our teachers and lots of great learning opportunities. So, yes, we use the public school curriculum as our base, but that's sort of the base to build off of.
Hello, Wes. We didn't get to welcome you at the beginning. It's nice to see you again.
I'm very sorry for my rudeness and being late. I was tied up in another issue. You've met my wife Daphne now, so I think between the two of us, we'll be covered here. Thank you.
Okay.
For your conversation there earlier or late last week. That was super helpful.
Oh, very good. Very good. Did you guys have any more questions for anybody, but Leslie and Raphael in particular, just coming with a bit of a different perspective because they're not always available. So, I'm pretty well always available, as is Derek and Julie, working at the school, but Raphael and Leslie are really special guests, maybe coming with a bit of a different perspective this evening. So if you wanted to be able to speak with a parent or a recent graduate, this is a great opportunity to ask them the kinds of things that I wouldn't be able to answer the same way. Although ironically, I am a parent at the school as well. So I do wear that hat. Both of my own children have also attended the school, but Leslie can give a fresh perspective.
All right, I'll jump in on that one then. So Leslie, did you have your kids start there straight from JK and up, or did you come from somewhere else?
So with my son, both of them, they started right from JK. And my son is, like I said, in grade 8 now, and he loves it. But in the meantime, we had a public school, a bilingual public school open in our area. And we had the discussion about, whether we'd like to save a lot of money and have our daughter walk to school. And the discussion lasted all of 2 minutes because we just said we have to offer the same amazing opportunities that we did for our son. And we haven't looked back. And the French has been a really nice surprise. My daughter really loves it, and she's coming in right now. Her ears must have been burning. Do you want to say hi, Sarah? It's just Madame Gerard and Derek. Come. Sarah. Hi. I was just going to tell them the story of when I told Sarah the other night that it was bedtime. And she said, "Can't we have a story?" And I said, "I'm sorry, it's too late." And she said, "Well, how about if I tell you a story, and how about if it's in French?" So she made up a French story for me, right? So that I thought was really amazing because she came in with no French at all, and she was expressing this beautiful little story, and I happened to tell her French teacher about it, and when I told her about the story, she was all excited because it was things that they had touched on in class. So I thought that was really nice, right? Do you have anything you want to say about Westboro? No, you're going to be shy? All right, say bye then. Bye.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to find out because I know you mentioned that your daughter started at from JK, which I think might be easier for a child who is monolingual, that speaks only one language, to blend in, to actually study in 2 languages. from grade 5. So what do you think? How easy do you think it's going to be? Will she have to take extra classes, or how would that work out for her? Because grade 5 would be like more serious than JK.
You know what, I almost want to throw this one at Raphael. This might be hard for you. I don't know if you can answer this, Raph, but your brothers started late and didn't speak any English when they began, really, almost
Yeah.
nothing. I don't know if, maybe I'm putting you too far out of your comfort zone to try to speak on behalf of your brothers, but they started in like grade 4 and left bilingual,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I know that Nicholas, when he started, he barely knew English. From what my parents told me, he told me, and now he's in university in English, which is surprising, and he learned a lot. And I had a friend a couple years ago who joined the school, and they didn't know French, and now they know it really well, which is surprising. So
Are you thinking of a friend that joined in grade 7, Raphael?
yes, I believe.
Yes, I know who you're thinking of. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is possible to join in later. It is certainly more difficult to graduate with the same level of bilingualism if a student were to come in grade 5 without already having a reasonable level of French. It would definitely be challenging. And we would use the assessment process to determine if that was still the right fit. So depending on if your daughter, has some French skills already or not, that would be a big determining factor. But we do have supports in place too for students that that need it. So we have, resource programs, and they can get extra support to help them get up to speed if need be. But if she doesn't really speak any French at all, grade 5 would probably be too late to begin.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, it would be late to start, but if a student is switching from another program that wasn't bilingual, but they still had French skills, we can often get them up to speed. But if they really are more of a beginner, grade 5 would be a pretty tough time to start in our program. They might find it too challenging, but we could discuss that sort of, or have an opportunity to meet her, and we'd know pretty quickly.
Yeah, she doesn't speak French. So
Yeah.
that would be really, yeah.
Yeah, it could be tough. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Leslie again. So you started saying that there was a public school option for your daughter, but you chose not to. Was that purely because of your experiences with Westboro already, or was that had you looked into the public school and kind of said that's just not the right fit? And why wasn't the right fit?
Yeah, we didn't look into the public school because, like I said, our discussion was very short-lived. We just have had so many wonderful experiences at Westboro, and my son just thrived in that environment, and we really wanted to just give our daughter the same opportunity, and no regrets. And I'll just add, I know I alluded to it before, but it was really special to be able to listen to the teachers, encouraging the kids. My daughter was learning to read last year, and I thought I was doing a pretty good job sitting down and reading with her until I heard the experts leading her through a reading activity, and I was picking up pointers from them because they really have a special way with the kids, and the kids really respond to it.
I have a question for you, Raphael. What are your fondest memories of your time at Westboro?
Probably one of my best memories was when we went to with me to we went to Nicaragua as a grade 7 and 8 class, So we didn't have to, the kids, we had an opportunity to go to Nicaragua as an educational trip. And we went there as a class with 2 teachers, Mr. Lebeau and Mme. Janik, and it was exceptional. And we learned about how lucky we are to be in Canada and all the amazing things we had here. And it was truly remarkable, and I still remember and think about the stuff we learned there.
I didn't even know you were going to say that. That's a pretty good answer. That is pretty cool experience. That's not even what I thought you were going to say. I'm trying to think here what other kinds of things that people might want to know from a student. What, Raphael, what do you think most families would find pretty surprising about Westboro?
Probably the community and like how open it is. Everyone's equal, and it's amazing. Teachers help everyone. We also have like quite a lot of leadership opportunities. Like we have head boy, head girl, where it's like a couple students are like chosen to be captains or leaders for the school, and there's also class reps, where it's one student per grade is elected. They have like speeches, and they're elected to represent the class. So if ever there's problems that they can bring up with the students, and they always have meetings like every month. And they can discuss about things about the school and things for the kids to change, which I liked a lot.
You did just say the word captains, but we do have captains. Do you want to explain that?
Yes. So at the school we have houses like in Harry Potter. There's 4 houses, and there's Mounties and Nookchuk, Maple Leaf, and Blue Nose, and all the kids are separated into 4 houses, and there's a captain and a vice captain usually, who are elected, and pretty much they represent the whole group. And when kids do good things like random acts of kindness, or just they're ready for class, they're listening, they're paying attention, they can get little tokens. And at the end of the year, at the end of every week or 2 weeks, the tokens are counted up. And at the end of the year, whichever group has the most tokens, they win. And they get the big cup with the name written on them that's in the school, and it's very exciting.
Ralph was a captain.
Yeah.
Very good one. Yeah. Mounties, if I remember.
Yes, Mounties.
Yes, Mounties. Leslie, maybe just a question for you about high school. Have you guys been thinking about high school options, and what kinds of opportunities might be available for you and for him as a family? Have you been discussing those kinds of things?
We have, and I have to say that Westboro ruined it for us.
Okay.
We just want a high school that lives up to Westboro, and we're having a hard time finding that. On the other hand, we do have options because I never thought I would be saying this, but we are considering French schools for him as well. So there's really a whole array that we have access to. The IB programs are an option, French programs, sports programs, as well as on the English side. So we have our full choice. We're just not as pleased with the choices. We really want Westboro to continue to grade 12. I'll keep saying that every year. I know there's no hope for my son, but for my daughter, maybe you'll get things organized.
Good time
but
for her.
It is nice to have those options.
Great, thank you. Any other lingering questions out there?
Yeah, I'm just going through that list of questions that our kids had set up there. It says, what is the typical student like? And sort of what's the school day there? I mean, the public side right now, it's sort of 2 hours on, 45 minutes off, 2 hours on, 45 minutes off, you know, for recess. So what's the
Well,
program there?
our typical school day is more, it's more traditional. And the reason for that is that we need to split it straight down the middle in order to do our French and English halves. So a lot of public schools have switched to a model, what I think you're describing is called balanced day here in Ontario. Whereas we have a more traditional model with a short 15-minute recess in the middle of the morning. We have an hour in the middle of the day for lunch, 20 minutes is eating, and then 40 minutes is playing outside. And then we have another short 15-minute recess in the middle of the afternoon. And that's so that we can really split the day squarely down the middle, to ensure that it's you know, bilingual and there's equal time given to both languages. Your question about a typical student is an interesting one, because I'm not sure how any school could really answer that. You know, there is no such thing as a typical student. You know, there is a fit, and I think you know, Wes, we spoke a lot about this on Saturday about fit, and looking for you know, something that matches the values that your family is also searching for. And you know, we say, what's a typical child? Well, you know, we aim to have children that are motivated and kind and interested in learning, not afraid of taking risks and getting things wrong sometimes, and trying new things, and you know, working on their friendships with others and so on. So you know, we're not a gifted school, but we have a lot of gifted students at the school. You don't need to be gifted to succeed at our school by any stretch either. We have lots of students that are not, but lots that are. And so, you know, Raphael was being very humble there, talking about taking exams to get into special programs. I know that, you know, I believe that's what you did at De La Salle. And you know, there are a number of classmates from your group. I believe about half of them went off to gifted programs around the city. But that certainly doesn't have to be, you know, the path that everybody takes by any means. So when we go through the admissions process, the kind of student that we're looking for is someone who's going to thrive in our community. And that can be lots of different things. So, you know, we've worked really hard at trying to have an environment where you know, it's respected to be successful and to be smart and to work hard, and where those, you know, it's not like a too cool for school kind of attitude. And actually it's amazing. I don't know, maybe Leslie, you can speak, you understand the culture of the school from a student perspective. In grade 8, where that stuff can flare its ugly head, if it's going to be there, it's going to be there in grade 7 and 8. But you know, it's just, you know, we talk about a typical student. We look for students who are willing to try their best, and who are going to be kind and thoughtful, contributing citizens, are sort of generally what we're looking for. I don't know if you want to talk about that sort of typical student body kind of idea, Leslie. You might have a different perspective.
No, it's pretty similar to yours. I think the kids at Westboro are very well-rounded. They participate in a lot of athletics, a lot of extracurricular, and they still place an emphasis on learning. And I really think it's a good balance, and the teachers adapt to the interests of the kids. I remember, I think it was in grade 5 or 6, a whole math presentation was done around sports with Mr. Brain, and the kids just loved it. So the teachers really listened to the kids as well, and adapt to COVID or to the needs of the kids as well.
Yeah, you know, we're really looking for potential more than achievement, and we kind of see it as our role that once they arrive at the school, we'll help them reach their potential. less than what it is they've already been able to achieve by the time they're, I don't know, 7, right? That, you know, once they come to the school, we hope to help them reach their full potential. That's the goal, whatever that may be. And I'd like to think we have a place for children who can achieve at all sorts of different kinds of levels and in different ways. That said, I think we do have a rigorous academic program. We have a reputation for strong academics, but we do find ways to support children, you know, with whatever kinds of differences they may have, you know, within the wide spectrum of when you say, you know, typical. I don't know that there is such a thing, but yeah. Don't mean to dodge your question by any stretch. It's just hard to say what's a typical kid. They're all unique, right? But we're trying to create a community that's cohesive and respectful, and where people have a strong work ethic and they're willing to sort of do their best.
Yeah, one thing to add there is that the kids do love learning, and at Westboro, it's cool to be smart, and that's really respected among the kids, that, you know, they want to do well on their tests and they want to improve themselves. And you really see that in a lot of the kids, which is, I think, really unique because the kids are so well-rounded as well. They're good kids with a lot of interests, and they put their heart and soul into, it seems, everything they do, whether it's sports or art or an instrument, whatever they do. So, and they're so kind. We have a really special group, I think. I know I've said this before, but just the positive energy and the kindness in the community is really unique.
Yeah, Leslie, so you, did you have any French in the house before you guys sent the kids to school? Or was it sort of, that was their first exposure to French, was the school?
That was their first exposure. My daughter heard a little bit of French in the house because we were trying to prepare her. My son had nothing. He knew how to say hello in French when he started. And he was a little reluctant, a little shy in the JK and SK. But by grade 1, he had his confidence and he was ready to go. And my daughter heard him, you know, practicing homework and saying some French words. So we tried to point out different words in French, but they essentially had none when they came in.
So our junior and senior kindergarten programs are taught as full day French. So we do welcome a lot of purely Anglophone families, or families that don't speak French or English, frankly. We have lots of families whose first language isn't French or English. But by having the full day in French in junior and senior kindergarten, a lot of the children are able to sort of develop some basic vocabulary and comfort and the comprehension skills, so that by the time they get to grade 1, where there's more of the heavy lifting, where you're introducing the reading and writing, you know, so there's the 4 aspects of language acquisition, and the reading and writing parts don't really come in fully fledged until grade 1. So, you know, oftentimes they use the 2 kindergarten years to develop the comprehension and the you know, vocabulary acquisition, and to start experimenting and being able to speak in sentences and things like that. So by the time they get to grade 1, they're ready to go. Yeah.
And I've seen it happen twice, and it's just amazing to see them go from nothing and then, you know, picking them up at the end of the day and hearing their teacher speak French to them. And I was astonished to see my daughter nodding away and yes, and getting her backpack like she was told, and they just pick it up so quickly. And they're happy to be learning it because of the teachers. I will never forget that French bedtime story.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we do have an open house, a virtual open house this year, coming up at the end of the month. And I see that Julie has put the link to that event into the chat. So if you think that might be something that you'd be interested in, you can go to the link there. There's also, you can access the link to that also through our school's website if you want to be able to have some more information. And that'll be similar to this, but a little bit more of a formal presentation with also, you know, a student ambassador, myself, and Julie would be able to speak a little bit more to an admissions process and how the application and selection process works, because of course the timeline for that for the school is really sort of very busy now, coming in through leading up to before we break for the winter holidays. So I think you said your children will be going into grade 2 and 4, is that correct? Okay, so the deadline for their applications would be the middle of December, and then in each of those grades, and grade 5, also for you, Chika, to know that same timeline for all of grades, you know, 1 onwards, that those classes are currently full this year. So the way that works, so we have a class size maximum of 18 students, and our re-enrollment occurs in the month of January. So at the end of the month of January, we will know which of those families will not be returning, and that determines how many spaces open up in each of those grades for new applicants. So we do give special consideration to siblings. We work really hard to try to keep families together, but also any family that's applied before that deadline is given equal opportunity. So it's not first come, first serve, as long as it's before that round 1 deadline. And then we would open up the application process to all of those applicants equally, and you know, begin the actual assessment process if all of the application documents are complete by that time. So you know, so you got time. You've got time to explore a little bit and to look at your options and, you know, see what feels like the right fit. But you know, if this is something that you're considering as one of the schools that you've maybe narrowed it down to, I would encourage you to come to the open house if you're able to at 27th of October. Is when we'll be holding that, and of course this year everything's online. But I think you're in Halifax, is that right?
I'm currently in Halifax. Daphne and I live in Ottawa. I'm just here on business.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
Otherwise, we'd be in the same window there together.
Yeah, there are all kinds of reasons why people end up in different. Somebody was at work and somebody was at home and somebody is. I see.
Do you have a sense for like so one of the challenges I'm trying to get over is you know, we've spoken about the fact that the grades that the girls would be interested in are currently just exactly what you described right there. So we could be an awesome fit and ready to go, but if you don't have the space, you just don't have the space. Do you have a sense for chances, like historical chances, like how, of the folks that apply, what kind of percentage you connect with? Like if you find.
So in some years, some classes, there's no movement whatsoever. I think Raphael, your class for a few years, nobody left. But then there were some years that, you know, a slew of spots maybe opened up in that class in 1 year, and then a whole bunch of new people would come in. So, you know, in a typical class, in a typical year, there's no such thing, but in a typical class, in a typical year, you might get 1 or 2 spots that would open. Sometimes there could be more and sometimes there could be none, right? But 1 or 2 is probably typical. And then at the moment, because of, you know, a variety of reasons and the sort of state of education in Ontario, you know, couple that with the pandemic and all sorts of things, there has been quite a bit of demand for our programs. So, you know, there are some people on the waiting list at every grade level already. But that doesn't mean that they're not, I don't know how serious that application is, or, you know, if they were on the waiting list for this year and now they've actually settled nicely into some other school, I don't know that they are, you know, as serious. Would they still be as serious in September as they were now, because they've gone to school somewhere? And in some cases, we have this year been able to accept one child, but not both from the same family. And so we have siblings that are on waiting lists. And so they would be given special consideration because we would try to keep families together. So that plays in as well. You know, then really what we're looking for after that is about fit. So we're not looking for somebody necessarily that's an academic superstar, but if they are, great, you know, but we're looking for children that are enthusiastic, motivated, kind citizens that are going to be able to contribute to our community as much as they're going to be able to gain from it. So we're, you know, it's sort of we're looking for that combination. I believe in all of the grade levels that you have expressed an interest in. For those of you that are here this evening, there are, as I say, several people already on the waiting list for each one, but it's hard to know that they're, you know, maybe they're on the waiting list at several schools. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I can't hear you.
Right. Okay. We spoke on Saturday about you know, my family status and the fact that we're, you know, for lack of a better term, you know, we're not permanently in Ottawa. It's not a matter of if we move. It's when. Would we be disadvantaged in the sense that, would you favor a family that showed more potential for long-term stability than another one?
Oh, you know what? I'd be guessing anyway. I mean, no. I mean, that would be unfair.
Can I pose a question to Raphael? You're still live, are you? So when I went to school, I had French week and English week. And what that really meant was English week and then wait and don't do anything because you're going to wait till English week so that it's easier. When you do your day, one language in the morning, l'autre langue l'après-midi, how does that work? Do the students switch talking? Is it just the teachers? How does that look in real life?
You know, when we switch classes, usually like in the middle of the day, we have to speak that language, which, I mean, it's not bad because it helped us a lot just to keep our language and to keep evolving it. So it was really good. The teachers always speak the same language. So depending on the class, when we have French class, we always speak French no matter what. So we're always speaking French, which it helps a lot.
Okay.
That is something we work on and is a challenge in a lot of places. So fair question to ask, but yeah, the French teachers will speak only their language to the students, and there's like the magical line, right? You cross into the French class, and you know, at this point, it better be in French. So yeah, they definitely speak the language of instruction that's happening in class.
So that focus is in the classroom.
We do encourage with the, you know, French outside of the class, but like the reality is the language of the playground is English. You know, we have La Semaine de la Francophonie, and we have different activities where we sort of spend some time to boost that up, and certainly that way. But yeah, the language of the playground is English. However, if the duty teacher is French and you have to go to the bathroom, you know, you better speak French to her or him.
And what do you think about, Meg and I spoke about uniforms, and there's a modest or a fairly conservative uniform there. How does that, from the kids' perspective, if you assume that you've got children that have never had to deal with a uniform before?
Raph, do you want to talk about that one? Uniforms? What do you think?
Well, to be honest, most of the time it actually was a good thing because in the morning when I would wake up, I didn't have to choose what uniform to wear. I could just wear what I like, my school uniform, obviously, and it looks way better in class and it's all clean. And there's gym uniform and there's regular uniform. There's also formal when we go on like special sorties or stuff like that. And there's also, I think at the end of every month, there's a casual day so the kids can wear what they want. which I guess is fun. There's also color days. So with the houses, like I talked earlier, you wear your house color, and it's like it represents your spirit for the house.
And Leslie, do you want to comment on uniforms?
Love them. The kids don't mind either. It's just school, and my son a little less. He would prefer to wear his own clothes, but like Raf said, there are opportunities. There are fun color days and activities where they do get to change things up a little bit. And also the uniforms have been made more comfortable in recent years. So that is also a big plus. The gym uniforms are more comfortable now. And so the kids really don't mind. It's just part of the routine.
Yeah, definitely.
Leslie, I guess the school just recently moved locations. So Leslie, you've kind of lived through that change. How have you found that in terms of the old facility versus the new one?
Oh, the new facility is just fantastic. My daughter still talks about how it's 2 stories and it's so big. The one complaint though, Meg, is that the swing set didn't make the cut. We still talk about the swing set. But aside from that, the facilities.
We moved all the other playground equipment, but we didn't move the swings.
Yeah. So there is still a play yard there?
Very nice play yard.
Yeah, we still have a playground with playground equipment, and we also are adjacent to a very large city park that we have exclusive access to during the day. So, I mean, it's massive. It's like a full-size football field. And then there's, end zones and park spaces around it that we use as well. And there's a little hockey rink there in the wintertime that the kids can go play shinny on, and there's tennis courts. And I mean, it's pretty fabulous to have right there. So there's tons of space. No, we're very fortunate in that way. So when Leslie's like, oh, it's great. Our square footage from the old building to the new building is 2.5 times the size of what we were in. So we didn't grow the student population or change any of our programs. We just changed the space that we were in. So it's not part of our strategic plan to grow the population of the school. We're intentionally small. Because we really believe that that's what helps us build community, which is one of the priorities of our mission. So, the community is the same size it was. We're just in 2.5 times the square footage as what we had before. So yeah, we've got tons of room, which is turning out to be really great for a pandemic, to have lots of space. But yeah, and we're very happy. We've got specialized rooms as well for the students to be able to use. So we have a dedicated science lab, a dedicated arts room. We've got our own gymnasium. We've got 2 resource rooms. We've got a kindergarten wing. We've got a much better facility than we used to, for sure. Well, I might just sort of wrap things up there, unless there are any sort of further questions, but I would encourage you to either you can reach out to us at the school for some sort of individual follow-up, or attend our virtual open house on the 27th of October as well, if you are interested. But I think we've filled up our allotted time, so I should probably wrap things up and let people get back to their families. But I certainly hope to hear from you again. And unless anybody has any parting words, then I'll wish everyone well for the remainder of the evening.